Hi everyone, this video is to show you how to create an annotation assignment, which is Schoology's new material type and is going to be an answer to the Kami extension that we've been using thus far. The annotation assignment is kind of a hybrid between the standard Schoology assignment and a Google Drive assignment. I'll show you what I mean down the line, but it brings the best of both of those worlds together. So in your course, let's go to the Add Materials button, and then we're going to add an assignment. And then I'll call this the button annotation assignment. I do like to include the actual instructions for the annotation, especially if it's a longer story or a longer document, just because students will be able to pull this down as they're looking at the document later, and so that is kind of helpful for them to be able to see it. So I just copy pasted it from my document into the actual description box. And then you'll see that there's now a button that says Annotations Assignment. We're going to go ahead and select the annotation with button with the annotation key. You'll notice that there were a ton of different material types that are supported by the annotations assignments, but I do recommend PDF. It does seem to be a little bit easier. It loads a lot faster. The only thing to keep in mind is if you're using a PDF, to make sure that there is enough space for students to actually put in their responses. So if you have short answer questions or anything like that, you need to create spaces underneath the questions so that they have a spot to kind of put their text box. So I've uploaded that. Select due dates, leave it at 100 points because why not? And we'll enable submissions so that students will be able to actually create things. But I like to turn off the comments just because those aren't super necessary. The only other thing that you can do, which is kind of interesting, is you can add an actual rubric if you want. And so I'm actually going to add my annotation rubric. And so this is something I've listed just all the different criteria that I have, and they have points attached to them. You can either show it to students, which would be kind of like requirement rubric, or you can just turn it off, which is more of a grading rubric. It's just for yourself, and so this is kind of how you'll know. Let's turn it off for now just so you can see what that looks like, and then we'll click create. Alright, so for my annotation assignment, when I go and look at it as a teacher, there's not a whole lot to see here. Okay, and so you'll see the instructions that you've included, you have the due date that you've included, and you can see the PDF that you've attached, but you don't know what it looks like from the student perspective, and that's really helpful. So what I do recommend is using your dummy student account. There is a whole folder on our Schoology FUHSD Learning Center course explaining how to access your dummy student account, but we do recommend opening that in a separate browser just because you don't want your teacher account and your student account kind of mixing. And so I do have Firefox loaded up here. I'm going to log into Schoology with my student account, and this is my student account here. Everyone's account follows the same format. And then I'm going to go to my course so that I can see the assignment. And when I see the assignment, this is what it looks like. And so students have the instructions here. They can start the assignment. And this is loading the individual copy for them. And so this is kind of the best of both worlds. This is the Google Drive portion of it. If they click the see more, that allows them to see the actual instructions, which are nice. They can just sit up there as they're actually reading so they can have a reminder of what they're being asked to do. Lots of different features that I'll just very quickly go over here. And so there's the zoom button. They can change how close or how far away it is from them. They can actually search for particular words, phrases, things like that, really useful for longer documents. They can also adjust the settings, and some kids like dark mode, and so that's always kind of fun. But in general, there are a couple of things that are worth knowing here. And so when it comes to doing this, there are the type and the draw options. Okay, and so students can highlight anything. They can change the color of it. They can change the transparency of the highlight. They can make custom colors, all of the above. And so if they wanted to kind of indicate which thing that they're highlighting in what color, they can also underline certain things, do strike-throughs, and squiggly lines, right? So those are the different types of annotations assignments. You can undo any of that. You can also use this eraser, which kind of just dragging around and they can erase things. The fun thing is the text box, and so if I scroll to the bottom with my comprehension questions, here they are. Students can actually create a text box here, and they can drag it to as large as they want. You'll notice that this palette shows up. This palette doesn't go away, and so if students are complaining about the fact that they can't view the text box, it's probably because they just need to scroll. You'll notice that it kind of just stays there. It's going to stay there as they're typing, and so topic of the story, read, right? That's all they have to do. They can change the font. They can change some formatting things. If they click out of the text box, they can actually adjust the size of it. They can also do some style things, and so there's the text, stroke, you know, all of these formatting things. There's some color options down here, all of the above, right? And so after that, they can also drag and drop their actual text box wherever they need it to be. This is the freehand type writing and freehand highlight. Probably not going to be used very often unless a kid is, you know, very comfortable writing with their mouse. But the drawing option is for things like diagrams. And so students can create different shapes. They can make little cloudy shapes. And so if they want to, they can change all of these different things. Oops, let me remove this. And so there's the, again, stroke, fill. You can get rid of the fill. You can change the style from cloudy to solid, right? And so then that'll make a regular rectangle. All of the above, and so they can have all of these features that they can work with. Circles, again, lines, all of the above. And so that's kind of what students are able to do. Then you can actually have them submit their response, and then this is what it looks like. And so this is where the standard Schoology assignment structure comes in. You'll notice that it looks a lot like a standard Schoology assignment. They can also resubmit, and so if they want to, if they click the resubmit assignment, they can go ahead and make edits. They can see what they had previously submitted and then add to that, change things, things like that. They can also revert to a previous submission if necessary. And that's that. And so once you submit a second and, you know, a resubmission, it'll log both, and you will be able to see both as a teacher. But that'll be a separate video where you can see what it looks like to be graded and all of that good stuff. So this was the setup. Hopefully that's helpful.